Sacred Word Revealed comes to Atlanta, Georgia.
Purpose to unveil esoteric controversies. Conflicts abound in this final generation.
After many millennia of deceptive propaganda replacing truth, that's why we must join together as a remnant to sharpen one another as iron sharpeneth iron.
To test all things and to declare together openly, the Messiah is Adonai.
Get your tickets now at sacredwordrevealed.com and join us for another exciting, rejuvenating, and challenging weekend of worship, fellowship, and discussion with the truth-seeking community.
Hello friends, thank you for joining us this evening. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. I hope everybody can hear me. There was no background music, and so I wasn't sure as to the progression for the show, but I hope everything is good. I have been having some computer issues, and so I wasn't even positive that we were going to be able to do this broadcast, but hopefully everything is good, and I just wanted to take the time to catch up with everybody and to bring forth some information, especially with Bitcoin. It has been running a great deal over the past few weeks, and there has been a lot of hype and a lot of speculation over the price going even to greater heights. And for those that don't know, we are at 30,700 today, and that's up. Today we are up 2.8% in 24 hours, and we're still steadily trending higher. Bitcoin is now at 30,856. And Ethereum, which just had their, they had a patch. Ethereum 2 is what it's called, and it's allowing people to lock up the token to mine it, and it went up 10.3% just today. In the last hour, it's gone up 4.59%, and it is, I believe, at all-time highs, $2,105 per coin, which is pretty crazy. In the last 7 days, Bitcoin has gone up 9.69%, and Ethereum, which had been lagging just a little bit behind, has gone up 11.8%. And everything is starting to run. All of the alternative coins, which BNB, the Binance token, has been lagging a little bit behind the two top as far as Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that's only because there's been so much FUD around whether Binance was going to collapse like FTX. There's been a lot of speculation. There's also a SEC probe into Binance US, which I believe is all FUD. And I think that CZ is a very sharp guy and very down to earth and is very smart in his approach and his careful reluctance to involve himself into the United States because there is no clarity here with regard to cryptocurrency regulations and the stance as far as the SEC. And also, we know that, well, for those that know about the New World Order, that the Federal Reserve System is an outlier and it is not part of the national system as far as, the sovereignty of the United States, has no concern for the well-being, the health of our country or its citizens, and that it is a privately run, I would say mostly European, but that's just because that's where the old money is. The people that own the Federal Reserve, they are globalists, and they are very old money. They have, and I believe we're connected to the Knights Templar, and to the establishment of international banking a very long time ago. And we see that there was just a couple days ago where XRP ran up like 30-40% in a single day. And it was all based on expectations that they are going to win their upcoming court case, where they have been, over the past couple years, sued by the SEC for promoting and selling cryptocurrencies where they're not really decentralized. They're mostly a corporation. And so selling their token as a commodity got them in hot water with the SEC, which, again, there's no regulatory clarity. And so companies and individuals really don't know what to do with regard to cryptocurrency. And we see, the FTX and their involvement and shady dealings with, especially the Democrats, that they were funneling and basically laundering money and passing it out. Is that Sam Bankman-Fried? He was a close associate with a lot of Democratic leadership and party members, and that he was also one of the largest donors to a lot of, Democratic leadership and the, to a lot of representatives, and that he was also utilizing the money that was being sent to Ukraine as support for the war, that Ukraine was donating and sending kickbacks through FTX, who would then distribute these funds to the Democratic leadership, which something obviously shady about all that. And you know, I am not a Democrat or a Republican or, supporting the left or the right. I know better than to involve myself politically with one side or the other, that they are both controlled by the same dog and pony show. The owners, the ones that, run the horses, pay to feed them, put the jockeys on their backs, that kind of thing. And so, anyways, just to give you a little bit more idea, we have Cardano, which is the number 7 token, and a large part of their, a lot of people believe and support Cardano, which is was created by Charles Hotchkins, something like that. And he was one of those that worked on the establishment of Ethereum initially. And we also have another token, Polkadot, who was supported by, I forget the other guy's name, but he was also one of the individuals that worked on the Ethereum project. And so all of these coins are gaining, even like in the top 7 or 10, let's say. And I'm not going to go into all of them, but to give you an idea, that Cardano's up 7% today. Dogecoin, which is pushed by Elon Musk, they're up 7% today. Polygon is up 6.1%. Solana is up 19.4% in 7 days. Now imagine, a lot of people that invest in the stock market, they are happy for 7% gains in an entire year. And here we have, 7% gains in a 24-hour period. And going down to the top 15, you have Polkadot, which has 7% gains today. Litecoin 6.3. Shiba Inu, which is connected to Doge, 3.35, and Avalanche 5.49%. And so, as I said, the cryptocurrencies are gaining a lot, and they're just beginning their run. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do with your money or to give you. But again, having watched the markets for a very long time and being familiar with at least the technical indicators and how the Bitcoin, like a heartbeat, it has its up and downs, and we are moving currently. We just had what is called the Golden Cross on Bitcoin. And the Golden Cross is where the indicators, the RSI, and the indicators that let you know as to which way and what kind of trend is being established, that we have turned the other way, that we were in a bear market from the time that Bitcoin set an all-time high, it was at like 67,000, somewhere thereabouts, 65,000 something. And this was like in, I think it was 3 years ago, or there, it's been a very long bear market. It's been what's called a crypto winter. And the prices trended downwards. And for those that have been listening to our show, I told everybody that when Bitcoin hit 17,600, that it was nearing the bottom and it was establishing a floor. And even though it did dip one time into the 15,000s, it basically established its bottom and its low right near the 17,600 mark, being what was called a double bottom. And since that time, which I've been, even before then, when Bitcoin was at 40,000, we told everybody to go into cash, to get into stable coins, that the trend was downwards, and that Bitcoin was going to lose market share, and that it was going to head down into the 20,000s. And so if you would have went into cash at that time, not only could you farm your stable tokens, but you would have also saved yourself any loss, trending from 40 to 20,000 and even lower. And I've been saying that people should dollar cost average from the time that, Bitcoin started nearing the 20,000s and descending down into, again, 17,000s. And it was there for a very long time. People had a lot of opportunity. You had a chance to buy at that time and to accumulate for several months. And if you would have done so, all of the money that you put into the market at that time, you would be up almost 50%. And that's, anywhere in your investment can you gain 50% on your money in a year? That seems criminal, and yet this is the cryptocurrency markets. And, just as, which again, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not telling you what to do, but in regard to the markets, if you learn to understand the indicators, the relative strength index, which lets you know when we're nearing bottoms, when we're nearing tops, when the market is trending a certain way. And that, again, the price of Bitcoin moves like a heartbeat, depending on interest. And it's so crazy to me that, when Bitcoin was at $16,000, that people didn't want to touch it. Everybody was trying to sell and get out, and they were like giving up on cryptocurrency. And yet, when everybody is trying to sell, that's the time for people to accumulate. And, it's reverse psychosis. It's, you should always be doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing, and people still don't get this. And this is why 90% of investors lose money. because they get caught up in the FOMO. Like right now, Bitcoin just had a golden cross, and people are just now wanting to enter the markets and to buy into Bitcoin when, we're $16,000 from the bottom, which I expect Bitcoin to run for at least a while longer, probably through the rest of this year. And the reason I say that is because we are now established a trend where the momentum is towards the upside. And so as long as the trend is what it is, people should be buying the dips and taking profit where you can. And this is the other thing. For some reason, especially with crypto investors, people think they should hodl. And when I mean hodl, it's a term that means hold on for dear life. But hodling to me is the most ridiculous thing you can do, because there's so many opportunities in between that and everybody sees this, when you see the markets go up 20% in a few days, you should at least take a little bit of money off the table and try to time somewhat. I'm not saying with everything, but you should try to time the tops and the bottoms of the peaks and the lows. And it doesn't take a lot of skill. Well, I can't really say that. It does take a lot of skill, and it does take, having watched the markets, but everybody, especially those of you that work from home, that work on your computers, it's very easy to set, one of the pages to a Bitcoin chart and to watch it in the background daily and to learn to become familiar with the tendencies of the market. Because a lot of times the Bitcoin will dip on the weekends because of, most traders going home or going, having the weekend off. And in the mornings on Monday, it will start to pick up again because, especially with American markets, that a lot of traders are involved with the movement of Bitcoin. And this is a worldwide market, and it's open 24 hours a day. So you can watch and learn when certain groups of people, especially those that are highly invested in Bitcoin, when they wake up, they have a tendency to influence prices. And so you can learn to, monitor and to utilize such momentum for your own benefit. I mean, all markets do this. And I think really, and especially for those of you that don't have the time and don't have the interest and don't want to watch or monitor to learn about the markets, dollar cost averaging is the best way to go. And just to put a certain amount of money in every month or whatever it is you want to do, and just allow it to accumulate. Because even though we're at 30,800 right now, we are heading for all-time highs again at some point, and we will break 60,000 per Bitcoin. And so I still think there's at least 50% upside over what will be, who knows how long it will take for us to get there. But the crypto markets are still being established. They're still new. And big money has not even begun to enter the markets in mass capacity. Yes, there are market um, involvement, like MicroStrategy. I mean, Michael Saylor, he's a genius. That guy's going to be looked on as, the new Warren Buffett at some point. And he is smart, even though he was removed from leading his company by the board just because we had a bear market. Um, he's going to be remembered for his involvement with Bitcoin and putting in big money. I think he owns like 1,500 Bitcoin now. It's something ridiculous. I don't know why we are not, and we're at break, so I'm gonna hold on for a minute. But I don't know why the commercials are not playing. Something is obviously weird, but let me check YouTube. Okay, yeah, at least you guys are hearing me in the chat. And even though and I'm not going to be covering Bitcoin this whole show, just so you know. Because I know a lot of you that are listeners and supporters because of our work on the ancient scriptures that you don't necessarily have a good opinion of Bitcoin, and I understand that. I'm not, you know, but again, I've been, and I try to cover everything, not just the ancient scriptures. I'm trying to tell all of you, as my friends, as my family, about things that I've learned in my life which could be beneficial. And I've, learned about crypto over the last couple of decades. I've been involved in it since 2017. And, it doesn't matter whether the markets go up or down, you can make money both ways. You can learn to short the market and you can learn to go long in the market. And, it just takes a little bit of savvy and a little familiarity in being able to do that. And I know that a lot of you have listened to the things that I say and that you have benefited from that. And I'm grateful because I want all of you to succeed. I don't want you to have to struggle financially. And I know that, a lot of very good and kind-hearted people, and that many of you, do support the charitable work that we do, that you aid us and you support us in not just in the Endeavor Freedom work that we do, but you also tried to, give money directly to my children or myself. And we're so very grateful to all of you for your support in that way. And we're not in any manner trying to ask, for you guys to do that. We never ask for money. We never ask for you to send us anything because we're so blessed. We pay it forward. And we, recommend that people help those that are less fortunate, those that are in need. Because the way that the Most High has it situated in the world, and the way that He has established uh, the church, is through blessing, that He provides abundance and overwhelms us with abundance so that all of our needs are taken care of, so that none of us has to struggle. And yes, some of us do. And those are the lessons that some are experiencing in their lives on even a daily level. And I understand this. I'm a physically challenged. I have a disability. I'm paralyzed. And so I understand what it means to live with pain and to be challenged every day. But when it comes to comfort and having my needs taken care of, the Most High has blessed me greatly and has given me the ability to, bless others. And that's what we do because, again, you, in blessing others, you will be blessed. You reap what you sow. And the world does not teach this. The world teaches, that you should hoard, that you should be competitive with others, that you should try to outdo, outmaneuver, and outlast, almost like, the whole theme of Survivor, outwit, outlast, all that. But really, that's not the way to be. We want to be kind, loving, compassionate, caring, that we're commanded to even love our enemies and to show kindness to them. And in doing so, we can really sway hearts, change minds and attitudes of people, make them different, make them kinder, in example. And this is exactly what Christ's example to the apostles when they asked him who amongst them was the greatest, and he bent the knee and began to wash their feet and to teach them that we're to be servants to each other. We're to love one another, that we are family in Christ. And that's a lesson that the world just does not teach. And in the matrix of illusion that we're born into, Satan has everybody competing with one another. And he has divided the world into haves and haves nots. And he has established his children, the seed of the serpent, which the scriptures tell us would be at enmity. We would be at enmity with the serpent seed all throughout time and generation. That the scriptures tell us is even, that Christ would win the war for us, not only with the promise of the cross, but that in the end, with his second advent, after overcoming death, after defeating the powers and the principalities, the rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places, the Illuminati of this world, that he said, I go now to prepare a place for you, and I will return again. And he's coming. And he is the head cornerstone, the stone that the builder rejected. And he is the stone that will crush the other empires, the gold, the silver, the iron, the clay, that is represented by those empires that would in progression come to rule, come to hold power and authority over what is Jacob and the seed of promise. We're talking about Esau and Edom, Rome, the Gentiles, the pagan nations, that there would be this war between both sides that would continue for a 7,000-year duration, and that this would be the length of the Second World Age. But that Messiah promised, and he told the apostles that in the time of the end, you would see the blooming of the fig tree, and that this would be an indication, this would be the sign for you as the last generation, as the generation that Enoch spoke about, that when he said that I write for a distant and remote generation, one that has not yet come. And he was writing about us because we are that generation that is seeing the unfoldment of all the things that were written in the apocalyptic texts. When it spoke about, the rise of the beast system and the coming of the Antichrist and the strong delusion that would declare that the angels, the fallen angels, are our creators, and that these ancient aliens, these extraterrestrial deities, that coming from some distant galaxy light years away, which is, when you understand biblical cosmology, you know that these deities have been locked into this time-space dimensionality, and they have been here for a very much longer time than we have. And they're not from somewhere out there. They're from somewhere down there. They're from the interior of the earth. And there are entire cities. And some of these cities have been discovered. We're finding, and there are reports of them. Like, for instance, in 1932, I believe it was, when I forget the name of the individual, but he discovered a city of what were, reptilian beings. And these particular beings are human-like. They're hominid, except they're reptilian in nature. And I know it's difficult for people to conceptualize what I'm talking about, but when you begin to look into the supernatural lore of this world, you discover that there are other hominids that, being human-like, they're bipedal, they walk on 2 feet, they have 2 arms, except that they are different. That some are reptilian in nature, and the ancient manuscripts call these the Naga people. And they also speak about them as the seed of the serpent, that they have connections to what are the antediluvian gods, the plumed serpent, Viracocha, Kukulkan, that they are considered demigods and supernatural beings, that they are part or the forces of Legion, and that it's not just these reptilian beings that exist in the ancient world and even in contemporary times, but there are also lycanthropes, or what are werewolf or wolf-like people that are living and have been part of the things that go bump in the night, and that there has been a very ancient connection with these deities and their shape-shifting capacity and the blood royal elite, that again being part of what is the Atlantean worship of these ancient deities, that they have learned to conjure, and they have learned to meld themselves to intermesh with these particular entities. And they are able to utilize black magic and the secrets of Solomon in writing about the lesser keys and the greater keys, and Goetia. And when you look at the book of the Necronomicon, which is a very ancient and very evil, I say evil because it speaks about utilizing blood as a means to conjure up these devils and to initiate communication with them. And that in that book, and again, I don't recommend that people read it, especially don't read it out loud. And if you do decide to read it, to pray to the Most High for protection from, the content, because these books are written to conjure up these ancient gods, and they are using the Sumerian names of these deities in their prayer and in their ritual. And the Sumerian names are some of the most ancient, because the Sumerian culture was one that was ruled over by these ancient demigods, that they're not gods in the sense that they can create or imbue life, but they are demigods in the sense that they were once part of the angelic hierarchy, and that they carry with them the mysteries of heaven and how to manipulate those forces. And they have taught, or I should say, they have deceived humanity with the promise of power, might, wealth, and influence to involve themselves with them, and that their demand in worship is for blood, victim, and child sacrifice. And that if you impart and involve yourself in that kind of, which this is, we're talking about Satanism. And again, the elites that are involved in these ancient Babylonian and Atlantean rites, that, in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it tells you clearly that these beings, which are from the dark deep below, they come forth when the blood is offered. And that they are the ones that, being serpent-headed and reptilian in nature, they took over the councils of men and they rule over man. This is I'm not making this up. You can read it for yourself. Just go to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which are said to be 50,000 years old and connected to the destruction of Atlantis, which was a judgment that the Most High brought against them for their involvement in black magic ritual. And I write about things in great clarity in my books on the pre-Adamites and the antediluvian world. That, these are not my words, but in these very ancient manuscripts. And supposedly it was a Rosicrucian or one of those Freemason secret society types that, being a high level adept, wizard, warlock, whatever, that this M. Doriel, he speaks about being taken into a deep underground city by two of these very ancient deities, and that he was there shown these emerald tablets, and that he was given the ability to decrypt them and to translate them, and that he did so. And that these are what those tablets speak about themselves. They speak about these ancient gods, or again, fallen angels, because they're not gods, but they parade as if they are, and they want to divert the worship of the Most High to themselves, and they have successfully, they've succeeded in doing so. And even the scriptures tell us that that ancient dragon, he has deceiveth the whole world. And so, anyways, what I'm talking about with regard to, Bitcoin and your financial freedom and not overspending, not overindulging, not living in debt, is how to secure your freedom here in this world, while we have to live in the matrix of this illusion. And that we've seen, especially over the last couple of weeks, with all of the bank failures, with all of the collapses, that the banks are allowed to, they work on the basis of let me remember the term, fractional reserve lending, so that the monies that are deposited and trusted with them, some of these are up to 250,000, protected by the FDIC. The people that have big money and that can really bankrupt the bank by withdrawing their funds from them, those money are not guaranteed. And so these people that have that kind of money, they spread it around. They spread it to different places. They create nonprofits to funnel and to channel and to launder their money. And there's legal means for them to be able to do all these things. But anyways, Bitcoin, which is decentralized and cannot be printed in, infinity to infinity, it has built into it what is called the halving, or every 4 years, where the supply of Bitcoin is reduced until at the end of a certain time, there will be no more Bitcoin released, and the supply that is available is it. And we are already surpassed the time where there's going to be an abundance of Bitcoin available. And now we have a limited supply, and because the banks, you know, operate on a different principle, they work on this whole fractional reserve lending. And they're not even, at one point they used to have to keep in deposit 10% of the money, to cover transactional fees, to cover people that wanted to get access to the money to withdraw some. But the banks are so greedy, and the government has allowed them to do this, that they don't keep any deposits. They try to loan all of that out and to make money off of your money. And they don't even offer you a benefit for depositing your money with them. And so why would you? Especially when there's an alternative that will pay you interest. And when I talk interest, I'm not talking like a fraction of 1% the way the banks do. But I'm talking 16, 20, 30% interest. And that's what cryptocurrencies do. That many of the platforms that are available, that the exchanges or the decentralized exchanges, they will let you deposit your money into their platforms, and they will pay you a certain amount to, and again, sometimes that's 16, 20%. And that adds up over a year. Sometimes you can even double your money in a year, depending on, and you have to be careful because, the cryptocurrency platforms and the internet, the development of decentralized exchanges, all that is still like the wild, wild west. And there's a lot of, failures out there like FTX, like Luna, and the different protocols. And you have to be vigilant about where you put your money. You can't just let it sit there or it will disappear. And you can only put it in places where you really, really can trust people. And so you have to be careful. There's only a few places, like I trust PancakeSwap. I've used them since their onset, and have, for those of you that listened to me when I first started speaking about them a long time ago, because they were the first platform to come out that was an alternative to Ethereum. But anyways, they were the first, what was, a cryptocurrency chain that allowed you to deposit your money and to begin to make this interest. And they would pay you in this coin called Cake, which it went up from $1 something all the way up to 50 some dollars at one time. And now it's, like almost $4 a token. But they're still paying, people in this crypto for supporting the liquidity pools that are on their platform. And Ethereum, again, is doing the same. They are allowing you to lock up your Ethereum tokens on their network, and they are paying you interest. And I believe that they are also can be trusted. But again, you have to be very careful. But anyways, we're almost at break, and even if there's not going to be any music, I'm going to take a break and get a sip of water and then return from break in just 1 minute, and then we'll be back at about 2 minutes after the top of the hour. So, but I really appreciate all of you. I'm so glad to be back live and speaking with you and watching the chat room and having fellowship with you. And don't forget, Sacred Word Revealed. I mean, the conference, which that's what we've been busy working on. I just finished the second book of the Holy Spirit series, being wisdom being the feminine aspect of the Godhead. And we'll be releasing that to the public very soon. Also, Dr. Joy has published her new book, Beast Mark, and we'll be releasing that before the conference as well. So, anyways, I'll be right back. It'll be about, like I said, 2 minutes after the top of the hour. It's 9:57 now. We'll see you in just a bit. right, we'll be right back in just a minute, everybody. Just wanted to let you know that, the commercial breaks, I don't know what's going on with but there is no interlude right now this evening, so I'm just taking a small break. I'm going to get some water and then be back with you and we'll pick up the show. But I hope everybody's doing well and that life finds all of you blessed. And I do hope that you'll be able to join us again for the conference. Some, as many of you that can make it. I know a lot of people are still not willing or wanting to go out into public, that there's still a lot of people being careful with regard to the whole, COVID, post-COVID times, that these are still interesting, to say the least, times. But I'll be right back. Give me just another 2 minutes. All right. I've really missed you guys. I apologize. The last couple of weeks we've had such terrible difficulties with regard to computers and my Discord locking up, my Skype. I don't know what it was, but not being able to gain access to these platforms has really kind of jacked me up and put me behind. And so I'm really grateful. One of my friends came by and she was able to fix, the connection and get me back in regard to being online with you and being able to fellowship with all of you. And the last couple of weeks, Justin and Joy have been out of town, and the live stream we're not able to get that going, and so I decided to use that time to take a break, which it was good, and I was able to utilize that to really rest my voice and to take some time off to work on other things. Not my home asks, how are you health-wise? Zen, I'm doing really good. I mean, I'm really blessed this year to be, as far as my health, I feel like I'm in better health now than I've been in a decade. And I want to share a little bit about that as well. Because this is something that I've been talking about lately, and I've been doing this thing that's called keto. And I don't know if, those of you out there know about it. But basically, I have a friend that works for me, and she's pre-diabetic. And so looking at and learning about that, I listened to this individual named Dr. Berg on YouTube he decided that he did not want to just prescribe a bunch of pills to people, but he wanted to look into, nutrition, diet, rest, sleep, and your well-being, stress, as far as being the thing that affects health and causes disease. I mean, even think about the words disease, dis-ease, discomfort, you know, dis and then comfort, illness. Um, those kind of words, they indicate not a healthy way of being. And so I learned just recently that people, because of our diets, because of the fast food, because of um, our, the plants and the animals that people eat and consume, not being very nutritional or being, like they give the animals antibodies to keep them being able to live in just terrible conditions, that the treatment and the way that plants are raised in industry and uh, the same crop over and over, it depletes the soil of real nutritional value. That if people eat everything fried, everything is fried and breaded. um, and I found out that basically, especially when you eat fast food, a lot of what you eat is sugar. They put sugar in everything. And so one of my friends also that works here, she's been doing keto. What's a keto diet? And it's not even really a diet, it's just a different way of eating. Um and I've learned that, like we have in our country what's called low fat diet, and people are afraid to eat fat. And I've learned by watching, a lot of these um, survivor shows, like Alone, that when people go into the wilderness and they're forced to live off the land and to feed themselves and to eat only what they can gather themselves, that the most important thing for mental stability, and this is going to be odd to some of you, but it is fat. And they have to get fat from the animals that they eat. Otherwise, they lose their ability to function. And even if they are nutritionally okay, like they're consuming enough and they're eating enough, but they don't eat enough fat, they essentially will not be able to function after a certain time. And that really made me think about the people, because there's a lot of people that, and I'm not knocking anyways the people that, are, vegetarians or vegans, um, that only eat and don't, you know, eat eggs or cheese or animal products. And, that's fine. And if that's your choice and that's what you choose to do. But I also recently saw a video about this girl that was a vegan for 6 years. And she did it until she was having such problems that she was not able to function. And she said that she had to quit. She had to start eating meat because her brain, she just wasn't functioning correctly. And it makes me think about all the people that, especially in this country, they tell you that low fat is the diet that people should try to be on. And also that, there's so many people that are diabetic in our country. And if you look at the amount of glucose and the carbohydrates that we eat, even think about a fast food meal. Like I've just recently learned this myself, but like if you go to Arby's or Burger King or McDonald's, which, there's, I definitely wouldn't eat at McDonald's, but it's your choice. But wherever you go, um, you eat, most people will eat a burger, and, even if it has all the fixings on it, it's on a bun, and they'll eat their French fries, and then they'll drink um, their Coke product, soft drink. And most of that is just sugar. And for people that are diabetic, it's totally not good for you because it spikes your blood sugar. And here in the South, especially, a lot of people, like I have one girl that works for me that drinks sweet tea all day, just sugary water or caffeinated drinks. She doesn't drink water hardly at all. And she's, pre-diabetic. And and so seeing and watching her eating habits, um, I totally understand why. And there's a lot of people, especially here in the South, that the way that they cook their eating style, and that, they love carbohydrates. And I used to as well. I mean, I loved eating just baked potatoes. I loved French fries and potato chips. Oh my gosh, people love potato chips, and they're, terrible for you, especially if you're diabetic. But anyways, I'm not going to go into great detail on this. People can look it up for yourself, but I did discover, and there is also videos out there by a gentleman, again, this Dr. Berg, who's talking about using nutrition as a way to heal even serious, like stage 3, stage 4 cancer. And again, this is not medical advice. I'm not telling you, you have to go out there and do your own research, look it up for yourself. But he has done many interviews with individuals that, having changed their diet and eating, meat and cheese and what we would consider the good stuff, eggs, especially they have to be grass-fed, free-range, healthy animals. But cutting out carbohydrates, cutting out bread, grains, things of that nature, potato chips, you can make a big difference in your body. And we've learned, or I've learned, that cancer is a step beyond diabetes, and that cancer needs sugar to feed on. And that no matter where it is in your body, if you starve yourself of the sugar and you cut the glucose out of your diet, and with intermittent fasting, you don't want to like snack or eat all day. You have to allow your body time to burn off the things that you eat and to consume and to digest them and to break them down. But if you're not, indulging in the sugar, which a lot of us, Noble, speaking to you, brother, love that ice cream, and everything in moderation, everything in moderation. But there's something to healthy diet and cutting sugar and processed foods and things like this out of your eating habit, and that you can make a significant difference on your body, especially if you are dealing with diabetes or cancer in some manner. And again, I am not uh, giving you any kind of medical advice or saying um, anything, that you can't go and look up for yourself. But there are individuals that had, I remember a few stage 4 colon cancer, stage 3 lung cancers. I mean, all different kinds. It doesn't even matter where it's located in the body, but that these individuals made erratic, wild changes to their food habits and the way of eating, and they were able to make significant changes in their body, and in just a few short months. I mean, these people took it serious, and not only were they able to, change as far as how they felt, but they also shed pounds. Like, there's this one lady that I love to watch on YouTube. She's called Low Carb Love. And she talks about how she lost 150 pounds over the course of her, becoming keto. And that she makes, she has all these awesome recipes that are keto friendly. And the great thing about this diet is that you can eat as much meat and eggs and cheese, which I love all of that. And then certain vegetables, and you have to be careful with, again, the carbohydrates, and certain beans, and even certain fruits, because a lot of fruits have high sugar content, but things like cherry, blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, those are really good for you. But you can, again, make a significant difference on the way you feel. And even myself, I didn't realize why, I just felt bloated a lot of times. And it was from the things that I was eating. And so, Not My Home says I'm trying to gain weight. That's the other side of it. A lot of people, and I don't know what kind of diet you eat, but again, a lot of people that are a vegan or a vegetarian, they are nutritionally deficient, and that's a fact. That's not something that they have to take a lot of supplements in order to sustain themselves in in eating and trying to maintain that kind of lifestyle. So, but again, I'm no expert, and so maybe just check out Dr. Berg on YouTube. I think he's a very wise individual, and you can check out the interviews he's done with other people. There's a lot of great people on and that have learned about this, and it was something new to me, but one of my friends, introduced me to it. And so I'm trying to learn to eat differently, and I still, I'm not perfect at it. I'm still trying to stay away, from certain things. Each day it's a struggle, but again, there's so much good stuff you can eat that it's just learning to supplement. Oh, and rice is another one that was difficult. Because I grew up, my mother being Korean, we ate fried rice and rice almost every day in this house, and So that was another thing that I had to learn too. Um, oh, and then like, pizzas, now use cauliflower crust and make awesome pizzas. And you can use almond flour tortillas, things like that, to supplement. And no, they don't taste exactly the same, but they're still good. And you can make just incredible meals. And for me, I don't get that extreme bloated feeling afterwards. And so for me, that's an added plus. But anyways, let us continue talking about prophecy and current events. Because again, we see that I feel like we're moving towards what has been set up by the elite, what Justin and I have been talking about in the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, with the Great Reset and with the economic crisis. And that we see that the banks are definitely suffering across the board, and that the governments of the world have established it purposely this way so that things would fail. I mean, they literally have been orchestrating and planning this for years. And if you can't see that just by how much debt we have in this country, what is it now, like $30 trillion? Which if you really look up how much $1 trillion is, it's absolutely staggering. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was something like, if you took $1 trillion and stacked $1 on top of the other, and you stacked $1 trillion, which they don't know how far the moon is, but that it would reach, towards the moon or something of that nature. I mean, something is utterly astounding with regard to the distance covered, and that's a lot of zeros. It's insane how much money $1 trillion is, and we're $30 trillion in debt. I think our GDP is something like $2 trillion a year. And who really knows? Because the numbers are all wonky. Nobody knows with any great certainty. But we do know, just watching the debt clock, that the debt goes up by billions of dollars every few minutes or something. I mean, it's insane. And there's no way that America is going to be able to pay off the debt. The only thing they can do is keep increasing the debt ceiling, keep kicking the can to the curb, and keep raising payments and giving up assets to pay down the interest on the debt. It's insanity. We're living in insane times. And the Federal Reserve System, as I said, and for those that don't know, it is a independent, that they are a privately owned bank, that they own control of the United States of America, and because the dollar is the reserve currency of the world, yes, I don't believe that the moon is 289,000 miles or whatever they say. I think it's right beneath the firmament, the vaulted dome of the earth, that everything is, which is crazy to me too. I don't know If you guys are a reader of the Prophecy Watcher magazine, which is put out by Gary Stearman. But it's interesting to me that they've been running a series of articles in opposition to Flat Earth. And I have a listener that has read all of my material and wants me to debate these guys and to write articles to debunk their material. And I told him, if I had the time that I would, and that once I'm done with the conference, I am going to respond. Because there's only one thing that has to be done, and they're talking about how they've raised all this money so that they can get these telescopes and they can do all these scientific observations, when all anybody has to do in order to come to the truth of biblical cosmology is to go out there and to measure for curvature. That you can use a laser pointer and a couple of mirrors, and over the distance of even 1 or 2 miles, and it doesn't even take, you can get a powerful laser pointer that will reach out and extend in duration over 4, 6, 8 miles. But that the rate of curvature is one that should be 8 inches per mile squared, inversely according to the number of miles you are calculating for. And so in 2 miles, you have 32 inches of curvature, something of that nature. I have the table in my book, but it grows exponentially over, after 2 miles, 3 miles. It gets rather large and rather quick. And when you see that there's no drop, no declination, no deviation over 1 mile, over 10 miles, over 100 miles, then all your calculations and all of your experimentation trying to confirm that the Earth is a globe, you can throw all of that out the window. All of it. Even the fact, and all one has to do is take a glass of water, pour it on a ball, and tell me if you see puddles being created anywhere besides on the floor from the water dripping off of the ball. Water cannot adhere to a ball. It must be contained. And if it's not contained, it will leak off, drip off, and leak out. That's the physics, the properties of water and liquids when it comes to balls and containers. Because water will leak out and gather together in pool to create a lake, a pond, an ocean, and it will be level to the horizon, because that's what water does. It gathers at the lowest point, and filling up from that point, it will rise in elevation and be flat towards the horizon. And that's why you see, whenever you go and visit a lake or a pond or an ocean, it will be level all the way out across the horizon. That's simply the way it works. Hello, Flat Earth Nurse. welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. And, again, it's so very easy. And if you want to join me, I think we should, as a community, because all of you are very smart, very wise, and knowledgeable when it comes to this information, join me and let's write to the Prophecy Watcher magazine. And let's see if they actually are open minded and will listen to truth. And if you want to start now, you can. But like I said, I'm going to wait till I'm done with the conference. And also remember that I've lost a lot of friendship, a lot of credibility. I used to do a lot of shows with a lot of really good people like Timothy Alvarino. I mean, we did some really incredible shows. But, when he found out I was a flat earther, he just did not want to have any association with me. And, even like well, uh, Roger over there at Mud Fossil University, he does not want to be associated with me because I'm a flat earther. And we agree our research is, confirming witness to a lot of truth. But there's a lot of people that simply do not want to be associated with me and will not touch me with a 10-foot pole. Now, maybe even 100-foot pole, which it's crazy because, again, I said all it takes is one lesson. And even if the next time that people go on a plane, take a level with you. And you can show to people that there's a reason why airplanes, these planes fly over the plane of the earth. That's why they're called airplanes. They're not dipping the nose towards the ground in order to accommodate for curvature. When the engineers build structures like massive canals, like the Panama Canal, the bridge there in China, which is the largest in the world, and railroads, there is no consideration of the curvature of the earth. In fact, they try to keep it as flat and level as possible. They don't want huge inclinations or declinations when constructing, especially, railroads and steam engines. They don't want them to have to go up huge inclines, but they try to keep the railroad tracks as level as possible. And they don't want the declinations going, dropping too fast either, because the trains would then, you'd have runaway trains. And they would gain so much speed that if they were to go around a curve, they could fly off the tracks. So there's a reason why, okay, if they do take into consideration curvature, but not to include it, but to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. because they try to keep everything level. But yeah, it is sad that when you stand for truth, that people attack you and think you're nuts. But I don't have to tell all of you about this. I'm sure that you've brought it up to others. You've tried to speak to your own family members. You've tried to bring it up in conversation over dinner with your loved ones or with somebody that you thought was a super awesome friend, um, and you just wanted to share it with them, and you were also attacked in the same manner, and it's unfortunate. Um, but you know what? I saw Not My Home mention also how much he misses Rob, and I do too. He was my best friend in regard to the work that we did. There was no other person that I loved doing shows with in the manner that we did. And he was an upstanding individual because he didn't just jump into a topic. He didn't just accept something on a notion. He researched it deeply. And he had a lot of respectability and a lot of credibility because of the manner that he went about doing things. And, I want to remind those of you that can join us that I just spoke to Sheila and Jeremiah. Both of them are going to join me on a show before the upcoming conference. And they're going to be coming. And that Friday night will be a memorial for Rob. We're going to have a book out that people can write down, share their thoughts on Rob and the influence and the impact that he made on your lives. And we're gonna at the end of the conference give that book to Sheila and allow her to have it as a memorial, because we are all missing Brother Rob. He was a powerful influencer in the truth community. And it's so unfortunate that he was taken from us in the manner that he was. I was greatly blessed to be able to do the shows that I did with him. And I'm so happy that we were able to do the Enoch in the Genesis series, and that we were able to go chapter by chapter and verse by verse, that we covered it from the very beginning to the very end, and that we shared all of the other books that we thought were relevant to the discourse, and the material, the information that the early church also read and had access to, and which the now mainstream contemporary churches of the world so outlandishly declare and condemn and judge without ever having even read them. And they judge them as being unworthy of review. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And well, you're my listeners, how much I'm judged, how much I'm criticized, how many people do shows to berate me and to belittle me and to tell people, how evil and how terrible my work is and how they shouldn't listen to me and how nobody should, read the things that I say, because I'm just going to lead you into condemnation in the same manner that they judge me so critically. Um, but I'm so glad that you don't listen. And I'm so glad that my friend Rob Skiba, that he didn't listen either. And that he and we took turns coming on each other's shows, that we took the time to read through the scriptures, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, that we included Jubilees and Jasher and the writings of Abraham and the Targum and the book of Enoch and so much. I mean, we included so much in that short time that we were able to do that. And it's unfortunate because, we already had plans of going into and reading the Illuminati protocols like my son Justin and I did. Justin, stood in on a lot of things that Rob and I were going to do, and I'm so very grateful that he did, that we were able to share and to go through those manuscripts, because I think it's important. You guys need to hear, you guys and ladies, all of you need to hear that stuff. You need to know who our enemy is, who is working against us from the shadows. You need to understand the scriptures in the way that Christ and the Most High and the Holy Spirit wanted us to understand. He said, I will keep secrets. I will unveil the secrets that have been kept since the foundations of the world. And truly, the knowledge of the serpency, the knowledge of who our enemy is, who the Illuminati are, who the Freemasons are, that is so important, because they are laughing at us, hiding things in plain sight, just like with the shape of the earth. Look at the flag of the United Nations, the banner, and how they have on, the symbol of their flag is the truth of the azimuthal equidistant projection map. The same map that Alexander Gleason put forth in the 1800s to show the true nature and true map of the world. And, they've hidden that from us as well. But at least somebody was able to find that map in a book in the Boston Library and made it available to all of us. I have a 60 by 40 image of it in my living room, and it's a symbol of truth. And everybody that comes into my house, they're forced to stare at it and to look at it and to examine it. And, I don't say anything unless they ask, but it's right there, right in their face, and it stands as a reality check. it stands as something that says, people have scratched their head and why does that map show the earth orientated in that manner? And then if they ever see the map of the United Nations, curiously, it is orientated in the same manner. Oh, also I wanted to tell you guys that I just saw in City Point King. I just saw, I forget the name of the individual, but he released and talked about a map. I think it was called Euro Asia, and I don't know exactly where he got the map, but it showed portals. It showed gateways through the Antarctic ice wall. And he spoke about these stories that talk about how the different colonialists in ancient times, like we had the Dutch and the British, the Portuguese, and the Spanish, all the Danish, all of these settlers going through and setting up colonies all over the different continents of the world that this individual was talking about. And I don't know where he got his stories, but the journals. And next time I'm on, I'll tell you who this channel is, and I'll let you know about what he's talking about. But it is a very interesting story, and the map that he shows is very interesting as well. And so I will definitely collect it and mention it, and I'll share. Maybe I'll do a whole show on the things that he's talking about. But very interesting, especially when you consider the Buddhist map that the individual, the brother of the Hawaiian dentist, that in the Hawaiian Gazette, 1958, he shared the story of finding this Buddhist map in a monastery. Okay, City Point King is going to email me the map. My email is zengarcia2010@gmail.com. I would appreciate that. And also, City Point, if you could let me know the name of that individual, and I'll look up the the name of that individual. I can't recall it right now. Oh, and also last night, we had a great show lined up for you, but again, my computer was jacked up. I was unable to get online. But Jay Dreamers was going to join us, and he has recently written a book about annihilationism and about the First World Age, about the Titans, and about the giants. Okay, brother, I appreciate that. And about the giants of distant times and age. And so we're going to have him on soon again as well. And also, I'm going to set up my laptop as backup, because these kind of weird things keep happening to me. And so, as I said, we've had difficulty over the past couple of weeks and months in being able to do these shows and sharing these live broadcasts. And, I miss you guys and ladies and gals. I miss being with you and fellowshipping with you And so, but at least my voice is stronger. I think you can tell that. And yes, I've been having trouble on Discord. I don't know what's going on, and why they're if they're changing settings, or like some programs automatically grab your mic. Um, but weird things. But anyways, I'm gonna get it all figured out. I'm gonna get it all resolved. And remember the Sacred Word Revealed conference. You can go to Sacred Word Revealed. It's May 26th through the 28th. And as I mentioned before we went to break, I have just finished. And I know, some of you have been emailing and asking about when the second book of the Holy Spirit series is going to be available, and when it will be available for, pre-order. All that is going to be up on the website very soon. Okay, I will definitely do that. Thank you. Not My Home and City Point King. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for sending me that map. We'll speak about it again as a group at a later date, and I'll go into the stories because, I've been talking about that for a very long time, and wrote about and published the article about that map in my my book Paradise Paradise, the Sides of the North and the Mount of the Congregation. And so, which again, when we get back from the conference, I'm going to make it a point to respond and to write to the Prophecy Watcher magazine. And I'll share, maybe I'll even read. No, I'm not going to read the entire articles, but I'll highlight some of the article and what they say, because they wrote one about, the Earth not being flat, and then they wrote another one about the firmament, which they support. Of course, they only support these astrophysicists and PhD, NASA types that write about and support what they say. They'll never make mention of my books or the trilogy that I wrote on biblical cosmology. And of course, I don't have a PhD, so I'm not any kind of expert that they would consider, even bringing on their show. But we're going to see what they say. I appreciate and love all of you as well, sister. And it's so good to have a community. And I'm so glad that you guys have been with us for so long. And especially, again, God bless Rob and all the things that he did, because he brought a lot of you out of your bias to actually listen to what I was saying. And, he had a little bit of difficulty, initially, with some of the things that I taught. But the thing about anything that I support as truth, I study it in, very diligent effort. And I read and I share all of those sources with you so that you can go through it chapter by chapter, verse by verse, so that you can study it for yourself. And you can come to know the truth, because, yeah, I know that things that I say are contrary to what they teach in the mainstream, but that doesn't mean that what I'm saying is false. Maybe, what they're teaching and just the whole idea of biblical cosmology, and that the earth is not a ball and that water will not adhere to a ball, that should tell you something about how much we're being lied and deceived, and how much the world, that once you know the truth, maybe it won't turn your world upside down, but it will make it flat. And that in and of itself is something else. But anyways, we're at the end of the show, everybody. Again, we love all of you. Be blessed. Thank you again for joining us. And it was so good to be with you this evening. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll be talking again very soon. Look forward to seeing you next week. Be blessed all. Good night. Shalom.
On May 26 through 28, 2023, Sacred Word Revealed comes to Atlanta, Georgia.
Purpose to unveil esoteric controversies. Conflicts abound in this final generation.
After many millennia of deceptive propaganda replacing truth, that's why we must join together as a remnant to sharpen one another as iron sharpeneth iron.
To test all things and to declare together openly, the Messiah is Adonai.
Get your tickets now at sacredwordrevealed.com and join us for another exciting, rejuvenating, and challenging weekend of worship, fellowship, and discussion with the truth-seeking community.
Thank you everybody for joining us for this video and this broadcast. We appreciate all of you and thank you for your patronage. Please do like and subscribe and share with your friends. God bless all of you in your seeking.